Yesterday, the Rebbe asked for an explanation. Why is there such an emphasis in the Torah on the fact that the Torah was given in a desert? Given in a desert. And we always read the Torah portion. The portion that we read right around Shavuot is from the book of Bamidbar in the desert. In English, it's called Numbers. Bamidbar says of Bamidbar, the desert. And the Jews went into the desert of Sinai on the first day. What's so important about a desert? So in the Midrash, it says that the thing that's important about a desert is that a desert is ownerless. And everything that's in the desert is ownerless. Nobody can take ownership of anything in the desert. And that's the Torah. The Torah, anyone who wants the Torah is ownerless. So the Rebbe said, okay, good, that's true. It's true, but on the other hand, it's sort of not true because God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, right? That's the whole idea of the holiday of Shavuot. Matan Torah, God gave us the Torah. The Torah is the possession of the Jewish people. Like the land of Israel is the possession of the Jewish people. The Torah is only for the Jews. So what does it mean it's given to the desert so it's open for everybody? But it's not open. Says the Rebbe, I got a better idea. Here we have this week's Torah portion, double Torah portion. Bahar Bechukotai. That's better. When Ezra came up with the Jews from Babylon, so he arranged how the Torah portions would be read in the year, in what order they should be read, how they should be divided up, and etc. So he arranged that he divided up the Torah portion so that Bamidbar, the desert, would always be read right in front of the holiday of Shavuot. But the Rebbe said, so the desert, that's the desert. But why did he arrange it that way? Why didn't he arrange it that Bahar Bechukotai, that's the main thing that should be read. Bahar Bechukotai, this week's Torah portion, this week and last week, but sometimes they're joined. Bahar is talking about Mount Sinai, and Bechukotai is talking about the laws of the Torah. Not only that, it says in the Midrash that the only reason that the book of Bamidbar is read, the second section of Bamidbar is read before the holiday of the giving of the Torah, is to separate the curses which are found in Bechukotai from the Torah. So Bamidbar is really not so necessary. It's just like a buffer between the curses which are found in the end of this week's Torah portion. You'll see 49 curses and giving the Torah. So the desert is not such an essential thing, right? It's just like a buffer. The main thing is the Mount Sinai, that's Bahar, or the laws of the Torah, Bechukotai. Why is the desert so important? The desert was given in the desert and it was ownerless. Why so important? So the Rebbe is not trying to say it shouldn't be, but the Rebbe is trying to say that we can't take this at face value. Obviously, the desert is tremendously, tremendously important, but not for any of the reasons that have been given up to now. We'll see. Yesh Laber, we can explain, first of all, the connection between, so let me get my pointer over here. With the place in the world that the Torah was given on Mount Sinai in the desert, why is that place so important? The Lechiora, that at first glance, even since Shapu'ulas Torah, that the effect of the Torah is on the whole world, right? The Torah is the blueprint for the whole world, and the purpose of the Jews is to improve the whole world. So Manogea, why is it so important, the place in the world where the Torah was given? Yeshlomo, we can say, when God chose a place, the desert and the mountain, in the world that's fit to give the Torah, this is stressing the purpose and the goal of the effect of the Torah in the world. And it was the Torah was given to change the world. The Torah was not given to get us out of the world, get us up into heaven, separate us from the world, protect us from the world, and to save us from evil. That's also true. It definitely, certainly is true. But that's not the main purpose of the Torah. The main purpose of the Torah is to have an effect on the world. That's the idea of Moshiach. Fill the world with the knowledge of God. That's what the Torah is there. And somehow or other, this is stressed by the fact that the Torah was given on a mountain in the desert. It says in the book the Zohar, Kativ, it is written, Asara Asara Akaf B'Shekel HaChodesh. It says, Asara Asara Akaf B'Shekel HaKodesh. I think this Parshas Nasoi, so it talks about over there the the donations that were given by the leaders of each tribe to the tabernacle when it was open, what they gave. So every day, one of the 12 tribes gave, and each one gave the same thing. And then in the end, it gives a sum total. It gives the sum total of what it was. So it says there was 12 spoons, and each spoon was 10 shekels, right? Shekels of what is a silver? Shekel, silver or gold, I don't remember. So each one was 10. So the way you say in Hebrew, each one was, you say each one was 10. You say 10 was the spoons and the weight of the 10 shekels. That's a weight. 10. Instead of each one was 10, you say 10. That's what it says in the Torah. 10 was the spoons in the holy weight, holy measurement. And why does it say 10? Because that's Hebrew grammar. That's how you say it, biblical grammar. It says in the Zohar, it says, why does it say 2 times 10? This corresponds to the 2 tens, which are famous, well known. Which 2 tens are famous? What? The 10 utterances that God created the world. Asara Maimoros L'Maisa Bereshis, like it says, Ba'asara Maimoros Nivra Olam, like it says in Pirkei Avot, that God created the world with 10 utterances. Even though if you count them over there, it says Vayomer Hashem, let there be light. Vayomer, there's only 9. But it says Bereshis is also one of them. So it says the 10. God created the world with 10 utterances. That's the 10 Mamorot. And there's another 10, the 10 commandments, 10 Mamorot, and the 10, usually it says 10 Dvorot. That's the 10 Mamorot of Matan Torah. These are the 10 Hadvorot, the 10 utterances of God in the Torah. That's called the Asarat HaDivrot. So there's the 10 utterances that God created the world with, and the 10 commandments that God gave the Torah with. So there's the world and the Torah. They correspond 10. Why did God make the world with 10 utterances? Because it corresponds to the 10 commandments of the Torah. Why did God give the Torah 10 commandments? That corresponds to the 10 utterances that God created the world. Begin the Alma for the sake of the world. Lo Esbari would not be created. Ela begin the Raisa. The world would not have been created if it wasn't for the Torah. Because Zimnan all the time the Yisrael Metaski Torah, and all the time that the Jews work at the Torah, Alma Miskayim, the world exists. The physical world exists. The Im Lo Barisi Shamayim, like it says, if it wasn't for my covenant, Shamayim V'Layla, Yomam V'Layla, day and night, Chukot Shamayim V'Oretz, the laws of heaven and earth, I would not make. This is pasuk we're in Isaiah, right? 32. Jeremiah. It says, if it wasn't for my covenant, if it wasn't for the Torah, I wouldn't have even created the world. And it says after that, by means of this, there is found in the world completeness. Like the rabbis say, Kol Torah, the whole Torah was given to make peace in the world. What does it mean, peace? Unification of opposites, that all opposites can get along together. That's peace. Peace doesn't mean you destroy anybody. It's opposite. There's no opposites, just one thing. Right? Communism, everything is common, everything is the same. What do you mean the same? Like me. So that's the whole idea of the Torah. The Torah is there so that all opposites in the world, that every thing is different from every other thing, and that everything can express its uniqueness. That's to make peace in the world. The world is the 10 utterances, and the Torah is the 10 commandments. What does it mean? That by means of the 10 utterances that God, my morals, by means of the 10 utterances in the giving of the Torah, that's called the 10 commandments, Megalim is revealed that the 10 utterances that God made when he created the world, that the world, namely, is not an existence on its own. Shemalim, that it conceals in ungodliness. That's one reason, by the way, that the Rebbe was very, very adamant that the world was created in exactly 7 days, 24 hours, periods of 7 days. And it wasn't like the scientists say it couldn't be. It was at 7 eons, 7 billion years, 7 trillion years, 7 quadrillion years, and etc. Et cetera. No, there's rabbis that are trying to fit the Torah into what the world says, means that they're saying that the world can control the Torah. Okay, maybe there's a very small point, right? But according to the Rebbe, it's not a small point. The Rebbe, it's very, very important that the whole essence of the world is that it goes according to the Torah. And the Torah cannot be determined by the world. The world can have no effect on the Torah. The Torah has an effect on the world. There are a lot of things, response and things like that. You see, there's response of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, other great rabbis, that they deal with problems of our time, how that is answered by the Torah, how the Torah answers those problems. What exactly is electricity? What exactly is what exactly is an airplane? What exactly is that? Right? According to Torah law. But everything has to be according to Torah law. If the Torah says the world was created in 7 days exactly, so we have to figure out how we can make the world fit into what the Torah says. And the Rebbe wrote books, pamphlets about this. The Rebbe learned science, the Rebbe knows science, the Rebbe knew all the things, and he knew all the questions that are asked, and he knows all the seeming absurdity of saying that the Torah rules over the world, and you can see that there's things in the Torah which just are not seemingly not relevant, to our time. But the fact is not so. The Torah determines what man is. That's one of the ways, by the way, how you learn nowadays. There's this whole crazy woke movement that say that there's 45 genders, or there's 63 genders, or 80 something genders. And the Torah says there's only 2 genders. There's man and woman. That's the source. So okay, who cares about the Torah? I mean, who cares about anything? Yeah, say whatever you want to. But if you want the truth, that's what it says in the Torah. It says, no, but according to the Torah, there's also tumtum and androgynous. There's also this. It says, no, that's only 2 sexes. That's all that there is. There's only 2. Sometimes that can be concealed. You don't know which it is. That's a tumtum. Sometimes people can have both. That's an androgynous. That's a very weird thing, right? But all these, there's only 2. Why? Because it says in the Torah. You can't change. There's the rabbis who were much more eloquent and knowledgeable on the subject than I am, but it's an obvious fact, right? Obvious fact. If you look at the Torah to be true, so it says the whole essence of the world and the existence of the world, 10 utterances depends on the Torah. How do you know the world is 10 utterances? Maybe it was the Big Bang or something like that, because it says in the Torah. So you can say, okay, the whole Torah, I don't believe in the whole business. Good, 100%. So how did the world get here? There was a Big Bang. There was something. It was always here. Good. Say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want to. The fact that God created the world can only be grasped by faith. You can't. There's no scientific proof that God created the world. No scientific proof. Nobody ever saw God. No one has any idea what it means. Something from nothing. According to science, there can't be such a thing as nothing. They can't even comprehend according to philosophy, right? There can't be such a thing as nothing. What do you mean nothing? What do you mean nothing? A vacuum or nothing? What do you mean? No consciousness. What do you mean nothing? Right? That's how the world was before it was created, and that's what the world is being created from now, from nothing. So God brought it to something from nothing by 10 utterances, and he told us why he did it from the 10 commandments of the Torah. Shahari, because we hold Kol Metziut, the whole essence, the whole existence of the world is only these 10 utterances that by means of them, the whole world was created from nothing, absolutely nothing. So essentially, the world is really made from nothing, which means I'm nothing and you're nothing. So how can we, who are nothings, say that my opinion is the one that's right? God renews every day, constantly, the Ma'aseh Bereshis. The only truth that there really is in the Torah. But God wants there to be a world, but he wants the world to go according to the Torah. Because if the words of God would go away from one instant, the letters of the Torah, then the world would go back to nothing like it always was. There wouldn't have been any time, there would be no memory, there would be no pictures, no nothing. And even more detail, like it says in the Mishnah, but 10 utterances the world was created. It says in Pirkei Avot, the 10 utterances the world was created. It says, why does the Torah tell us that the world was created in 10 utterances? Why couldn't God have created it in just one word, one nothing? Why did God have to create the world in 10 utterances? But to take revenge, to take revenge on the evil people, that they try to destroy the world, that God put a lot of effort in creating the world, 10 utterances. And also to give a big reward to the tzaddikim, because God put a big effort into making the world, so to speak, and that the world was created with 10 utterances. In other words, the world is very important to God. God didn't say, okay, I want a word, there's a world, okay, now leave me alone, I got other things to do. God created it 10 utterances. Every detail of the world is important. So therefore, we have a question that's known. Since that God could have created the world with one word, with one utterance, one whatever it is, syllable, Lama Onish. So why would there be a big punishment or a reward if the world was created with 10 utterances? If the world is only worth just one utterance, so God said, yeah, but I made it with 10 utterances. Who cares? Right? Who cares? It's like you hire somebody to paint your house for you, right? And instead of using a spray paint, he uses a toothbrush. A spray paint, he could use spray one of these sprayers, and he could just, do the whole house in 15 minutes. But I did it with a toothbrush. It took me four weeks to do your house. What do I care what you? I want to get paid for 4 weeks. I don't care how long it took you. I'm only paying you for what it's worth. The same thing with the world. God said, I could have created the world with one instant, but I slept it out for 10 utterances, because I don't care how you created the world. The world is not worth 10 utterances. Well, why give a reward to the tzaddikim, because they're they're sustaining the world that you took so much energy to make, God, and give a punishment to the evil people because the world is not worth 10 utterances. It's only worth. So if God wants to make more utterances, so what do we care if the tzaddik or the Rasha? The world is only worth one utterance. So why should the tzaddikim get a big reward because God made it in 10? Yishlomo can say the explanation is like this. The B'rias Ha'olam, when God created the world, there is in fact two ways. God in fact did create the world with one utterance. And God also created the world with 10 utterances. One, when God created the existence of the world, something from nothing, the first existence, if you want to call it, Sheshava B'Kol Nibron, that's equal everywhere. Excuse me. That's one utterance. And it was the fact that the world exists, and that everything is equal. That an angel exists, that a pebble exists, that the upper worlds exist. Existence, the fact that something exists. Just the miraculousness of it, that's one utterance. And how everything exists, the form of everything, that's the 10 utterances. That's the tzura, that's the details of how each and every world exists and how each and every angel is different from every other, and every grain of sand and every snowflake and every atom is different, at least is in a different place. This includes all the tzirufim, the different letters of God's creation, It says in the 231 different gates back and forth in the book Shar Yechavim, the second book of the time, it explains this. Like it says also in the book Sefer Yetzirah, by means of this was created all of the multitude and details of the world. So the world was created with one utterance, and it's being created with one utterance. And the world also was created with 10 utterances, and it's being created with 10 utterances. One utterance is just the existence, the fact that there exists a world that seems to be separate from God, a separate existence. Just existence itself, which is a bigger miracle than anything. It is, and that is totally incomprehensible. And then there's all the details, which that's when science comes in, says, no, listen, maybe there was a big bang, maybe there was a black hole, maybe there was the first unit, and it was a quark, this and that. There was something, right? But where does this something come from? Where is it coming from right now? It says, that's the one utterance. And all the details, that's the 10 utterances. And God is doing both, if you want to call it simultaneously. B'habriya, in the creation, when God created the world, with what utterance? Namely, that everything exists. Since that God is bringing everything from nothing, and therefore it's not in a way of one level creates another level. There's spiritual and there's less spiritual. It's something from nothing. This is a jump, which is an infinite jump. It's not infinite. And infinity was created by this jump. In a way that's separate and distant. This cannot be revealed in the creation, how it is that God is creating everything and what God is. We're made from nothing. And God is creating us from nothing. How can we possibly grasp God? That's the one utterance. This is stressed God's ability. That God, this is the ability of God and only God, and how God is totally different from us. That's why, by the way, we wear a kippah, right? You wear a kippah, yarmulke, right, on your head. Mine says, "Long live the King, the Moshiach." But you don't have to have all this written on it. The yarmulke is called Yireh Malka, fear of the king. We have to understand that basically we cannot even approach what God is. Can't even approach. We have no idea. My intellect goes up to here, and God is totally above it. That's what the yarmulke is called, Yireh Malka, fear of the king. That's the fact that God exists. The fact that God creates me from nothing. This is stress the ability of God that He can create everything from nothing. Doesn't stress who we are. This is stress what God does. That we are nothing. All we can talk about God is God's ability to bring us from something to nothing. What God created the world from 10 utterances. That's all the details of the creation. Each and every creation is different from every other creation. This is stressed mainly us. Us. How different we are, how amazing we are, how excellent what we are supposed to do, what we are. That God creates the world something from nothing, that's stressing how great God is. How God is infinitely, infinitely real, and this world is infinitely, infinitely not real. And that God somehow or other makes it real. That's God's ability. That's one utterance. But the fact that all the details of the world, that's sort of a bit understandable. That stresses us. That's the 10 command. That's the 10 utterances. That God created the world in a way that it was given a tochen umala. There's given a purpose and importance to all of the creations that were created with the 10 commandments, with the 10 utterances. That this corresponds to the 10 sfirot, the 10 tchunot, namely the 10 sfirot. These are 10, facets of the soul and of God in general. That this includes everything which is all the different aspects of creation. That's the 10 sfirot. That's the 10 utterances. But the one utterance that God creates the world, that's just the fact that the whole business exists. 10 sfirot, all the world, spiritual, physical, that God can actually create everything. So that's sort of the, if you want to call it the rebuttal to evolution. You want to say everything evolved from whatever it is, a spark or something like that, whatever, everything, okay, everything evolved. You want to say, but how is everything existing now? What is keeping everything in existence now? Right? How can you see an example from anything that it made existence? It makes form, right? One frog can make another frog, and then from that frog comes a cat, and from a cat comes an ape, and from an ape comes whatever it is, a human being, and from a human being comes a scientist, and comes to this. That we can understand. But what is it that makes existence? Whatever makes existence, it has to be making it right now. Existence. And that's totally incomprehensible. Right? That's totally incomprehensible. And that's the one utterance that God creates the world from. That's the one utterance. The fact of existence. Sometimes it's called Sov Kolamim, and we'll talk about this more, God willing, tomorrow.